Hey Absolites, Pokemon trainers have teams. Duh. That was a bad way to start this video. But yeah, trainers have teams, and some of them, aren't great. So in this video, we'll look at them, and try to improve them. But first though, I just need to get a few things out of the way. First of all, this is not trying to make the teams stronger, unless I think they were way too weak. Kalos! Secondly, I'm only looking at anything from before the credits roll, so no post-game stuff, and unless it's mandatory for the story, I won't be looking at rematches. Third, I'm limited to the constraints of the regional dex, no matter how weird that regional dex is. Fourthly, I'm looking at these in terms of regions, so if there's something messed up in a remake, I'll look at that at the same time as the original. And one last thing, I'm splitting this up into 2 or 3 videos. This one will be for gym leaders, and then the follow-ups will be for everything else. So before we get started, make sure to subscribe, because I'm really close to 100 subs. I think I wrote that a while ago. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe, because my channel's been blowing up recently, and I want more subscriptions. And only about 1% of my watch time comes from subscribers. So, with all that out of the way, let's dive on in. Starting off with Kanto, I think the first time there's anything wrong is Misty's Let's Go team, where her Staryu is replaced by a Psyduck, which isn't exactly bad, but it is a bit strange, because every single other time she's the second gym, she has a Staryu, and I think Staryu is iconic enough that she should have one. In Yellow, Surge only has a Raichu, which I get since it was based on the anime, but I would prefer it if he had a normal team. Also, in the Johto games, he always has 2 Electrodes for some reason. Swap one of them for a Jolteon, since he has one in the Pokemon World Tournament and his Let's Go rematch. Continuing the trend of Yellow messing with stuff, Erika's Vileplume and Victory Bell are, in that game only, devolved to a Gloom and a Weepinbell. Change that back. Also, in Heart Gold Soul Silver, she has a Tangela still, even though Tangrowth is in the Gen 4 Johto dex. Give her a Tangrowth. Lastly, in all the Johto games, she has a Blossom, which while not exactly bad, is a bit strange, considering that in the Kanto-only games, she has a Vileplume. Just give her back the Vileplume. Swap one of Koga's Coughings out for either Golbat or Venomoth, both of which he has used on teams before, since repeats are boring. Speaking of Venomoth, man, is his team in Yellow weird. Like a lot of teams in Yellow, not bad, just weird. Instead of any of the Pokemon that he has anywhere else, he has 3 Venonats and a Venomoth, for some reason. I think it makes more sense for him to have his normal team, however. We'll be back for more from this guy in the sequel to this video, though. Next is Janine, and I decided to put her here because she's a Kanto gym leader, even though she only appears in the Johto games. Either way, her teams need improving. In Gen 2, she has 2 Weezings, and since I'm trying to get rid of duplicates, give her a Tentacruel, since she had one in the Pokemon World Tournament. In Gen 4, it was swapped for a second Ariados, but now she has 2 Ariados instead, so just give her a Tentacruel yet again. Blaine's team in Let's Go is the only one that did it just right. For all his teams, give him a Magmar and a Ninetales in place of Growlithe and Ponyta, so he doesn't have any evolutionary line repeats. You'll probably never hear me say this again, but honestly, I think his team in Yellow was better than Red and Blue, thanks to him having a Ninetales. Also, in the Johto games, give him back his Arcanine and swap out his Macargo for a Houndoom. Macargo is trash. Let's Go is the only one that did Giovanni's Persian right. He uses it as the leader of Team Rocket, but not as the ground-type gym leader of Viridian City, which is perfect, and all interpretations should do it that way. Also, for some reason, he doesn't have a Rhydon in Fire Red and Leaf Green, instead having 2 Rhydons. That is very strange. Just give him back his Red and Blue gym team as his team for every game. Lastly in Kanto, at least for this video, is Blue as the Viridian City gym leader. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, his Alakazam was replaced by a Machamp, which is a big no-no. Alakazam is iconic, give it back to him. Also, even though I said I wouldn't be looking at anything after the credits, his gym team in Let's Go is so weird I need to mention it. Tauros, a Pokemon he literally does not have anywhere else, is the first slot, where Pidgeot normally is. But since he has an Aerodactyl, I would guess that Tauros is there instead of Rhydon. While Rhydon is not super iconic, it's certainly more iconic than Tauros, a Pokemon that is unique to that team. Also, Aerodactyl replaces Pidgeot, and that's dumb. Moving on to Johto now, and right off the bat, swap Falkner's Pidgeotto for a Noctowl to give him some Johto reps. Yeah, it'll make the early game a bit harder, but Johto needs some more difficulty. Swap Bugsy's Metapod and Kakuna for Pineco and Yanma, Johto reps and pre-evolutions to Pokemon that he's used in the Pokemon World Tournament. I want to also swap Scyther for Heracross to make his Ace a Johto rep, but I don't want to entirely change his team, and Scyther is already plenty strong and plenty cool. Swap one of Morty's Hunters for Mischievous, so that he doesn't have any repeats and he does have a new Johto rep. Swap Chuck's Primeape for a Heracross, so that he gets a Johto rep, but his Ace is still the same. I'm trying to keep all of the Aces the same for the most part. Falkner was the exception, not the rule. Swap one of Jasmine's Magnemites out for a Scizor and the other one for Skarmory, so she has 3 Steel types, no repeats, and the same Ace. Swap Price's Seal for a Sneasel, so each Pokemon is a different line, and in Gen 4, give him a Mamoswine instead of a Piloswine, so that he has the brand new evolution to it. Lastly, for Claire, swap out one Dragonair for a Water Onix, like they did in Gen 4, by the way, so she has less repeats. Yeah, it's not a Dragon type, but it is a cool buff Pokemon that looks like a dragon and is in the Dragon Egg group. I would love for her to also have a 5th Pokemon, since I think that all final gym leaders should have 5 Pokemon, but the Dragon type in Johto is really limited, and Johto's level curve is already so whack that if she had a 5th Pokemon, it would mess up everything. We're now surfing over to Hoenn, and starting with Watson. Why does he only have any Gen 3 Pokemon in Emerald? In all his other teams, he just has Kanto Pokemon. Give him at least his Manectric in every team. Flannery's Ruby and Sapphire team has 2 Slugmas. Swap one of them out for a Numel, like they did in Oras, and we're good to go. Tate and Liza's team from Ruby and Sapphire and Oras is fine. It does a good job of showing off double battles, but I think they should have more Pokemon, like if they got a Claydol and Xatu in Emerald. When Wallace became the champion in Emerald, most of his team was transferred to Twan, who took over the gym in his place. However, his Seeking and Milotic were replaced by a Crawdaunt and Kingdra. While I think Wallace should definitely still have a Milotic, it fits his extravagant and flamboyant personality, I do think it would be better if he had a Crawdaunt instead of a Seeking. Now that I think of it, in Emerald, he has a Ludicolo, a hilarious, flamboyant Pokemon that is almost as flamboyant as he is. Give him a Ludicolo instead of a Seeking, and we're good to go. We're now traveling to the Sinnoh region, where to start with, I think giving Crasher Wake a Bibarel instead of Quagsire would be good, because I like Bibarel. It's a fun, derpy Gen 4 water type. What do you want? Candace's team in Platinum is fine, but her team in Diamond and Pearl is odd. She has a Snover and a Snowbama, which by itself isn't that bad, but she has a Medicham. Why does she have a Medicham? I get that there aren't many ice types in the Diamond and Pearl decks, but seriously, just give her a Weavile. That way she has all the ice types in Diamond and Pearl. That's all we need. Volkner's Diamond and Pearl team continues the trend of being straight trash, but even with how limited the dex is, I think we can improve it a bit. First of all, swap out Ambipom for Pachirisu. I know, it's Pachirisu, but this is pretty much the only option without too many repeats. Give Octillery Thunder Wave so that it has 2 electric moves. It ain't great, but this is the best we can do. He should have a 5th Pokemon, but extending this box is way too much work, so no. Moving on to Unova, I honestly couldn't find much wrong with very many of the gym leaders there. In Black 2 and White 2, Clay's Palpitoad was replaced by a Sandslash. That's not bad, but it's not great either. I think his Black and White team is much better. For Drayden as the 7th gym leader in the sequels, give him back his Fraction. doesn't need to replace anything, he should have 4 Pokemon anyway, but since that will be hard to edit, have it replace Gnoggin. Lastly for Unova, give Drayden/Iris when they're the final gym in Black and White a second Fracture and a second Gnoggin, so that they can have 5 Pokemon, as all final gyms should. Oh, also, sorry for not adding fancy visuals for this changing number as I did for Blaine. That was way too much work for something that will barely be appreciated. We're now hopping on plane and boarding to France. Sorry, Kalos. Where we can get started with Karina. Why does she not use her Lucario in battle? She has one every other time you battle her. She has one in the anime, she has one in the manga, she has one in Masters. It just makes more sense. Make that her ace in place of, I don't know, Machoke. Also, give Hawlucha a Citrus Berry to take advantage of the ability Unbird. Swap out Valerie's Mr. Mime for a Gardevoir so that she can Mega Evolve. She's the 6th gem, her Pokemon are in the high 30s to low 40s, you will have a fully evolved starter by now, give her a Mega Gardevoir. Also, I know that she has a Mawile already, and Mega Mawile does exist, but Mawile's stats are so horrible that there is no reason to ever use one, even when it does go Mega. Swap Olympia's Slowking for a Mega Slowbro. Yeah, like Mega Gardevoir, it might be a bit strong for this point in the game, but frankly, maybe it should be. Kalos is too easy anyway. I honestly believe that Wulfric is the most underwhelming final gym leader in the entire main series. He only has 3 Pokemon, he uses a type with several easily exploitable weaknesses, unlike the Gen 5 gym leaders, and none of his Pokemon Mega Evolve, even though you faced a Mega Evolution in a regular battle already, namely the battle with Lysander, and Snowbalma doesn't even have 4 moves! Give Snowbalma a 4th move, I don't care what it is, maybe Blizzard to take advantage of Snow Warning, give it a Mega Stone, make it his ace, give him a Beartech, and maybe even give him a Mamoswine. Mamoswine is rad, and all final gyms should have 5 Pokemon. I honestly could not find any problems with the Alola League. There are plenty of problems with the Alola rivals and evil team leaders, but I couldn't find anything wrong with the trial captains or kahunas. Flying over to England on its head and starting off with B, she only has 1 Galar Pokemon, which is fine on teams where the Galar Pokemon is their ace, but for her, it's not. Swap out Hitmontop for Grapploct. She uses one in the anime, she uses one when you battle her in the Champion Cup, and it fits her aesthetic because Grapploct is a tough fighting type that doesn't look muscular, but wins through tough fighting skill, which is exactly what she does. Lastly, I don't see a problem with Ryan's team, but I know people will get annoyed if I don't mention it, so I should bring up why I don't see a problem with it, despite how hard I crack down on other trainers who specialize in a type but don't have all Pokemon of that type. First of all, since he uses double battles, it makes sense for him to have an even number of Pokemon, rather than a team of 5 like they should. Secondly, while he is technically the Dragon Specialist, his theme is really just tough looking and does well in sandstorms. Honestly, I wish more gyms did that. Or in the Champion Cup, he has a weather team, and just having mostly dragons, 1 non-dragon, and all Pokemon that set up and do well under a certain weather. Okay, well, that's that. I'm bad at outros, but, yeah. This has been fun. Like, comment, subscribe, wait for part 2, and, see you next time. Peace out, Abslights.